Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, I'm going to go ahead and give you my tips and tricks for how to move up in the corporate ladder. So if you are trying to develop, you're trying to move up in your company, I am hoping that these tips and tricks that I've learned or slash have been told will help you to move up in your company. Of course, if you have any comments or suggestions or of your own that you'd like to share, don't be afraid to leave me a comment down below. And yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and start. The first thing for me is having that confidence. So when you decide that you want to move up in a company, there's a lot that goes into it. Every company is different. That's very important to know. Sometimes people just get in and it's not that hard. And then another person unfortunately has to work double just to move up. And it's really crappy because it's a very broken system of how those things work. But at least for me, these are just things that I've been told that will either help or just kind of get me there. But having that confidence to say, yes, I'm ready to move on to this next level and I'm going to do whatever is required of me to do so. That is a very big thing, especially with your supervisor or whoever it is that's mentoring you. They need to see that you have that confidence to move on into the next level. Like I've said before, I have struggled with anxiety and just kind of feeling like I'm not good enough, but I finally mustered up enough strength and courage. And once I got to that point, it was so much easier to present myself and so much easier to get promotions because I put myself in that frame of mind, like I can do it, I am ready for this. And just having that speech down, being able to talk and make full-blown sentences without saying every 5 minutes definitely helps to make you look more presentable and ready. So yeah, confidence. That is the first one. Second is you have to be very invested into your own development. A lot of companies will tell you it's not about when we think you're ready, it's about when you think you're ready. And so being in charge of your development, being that first person that's like, okay, this, and this, that is also going to help to propel you where you need to be. I know for Starbucks, we had papers and we would write down our expectation. We would pick 2 things that we want to develop and we would develop those over a course of 6 months. And so you personally taking charge of your development is going to make you go way faster than if you let your store manager, if you give it up to them. Think of it this way. They're already at that level and they should, yes, be invested in you, but realistically, they're just not. No one's going to be more invested in your development than you. So sit down, find whatever tools your company offers for development and make sure you think about it. And don't overload yourself. For Starbucks, you could pick up to 3 things, but they always stressed that you shouldn't take on too much. You should always do 1 or 2 because these are things that you're going to develop over a course of 6 months. Nothing develops overnight. And so it is a process and you need to be able to be okay with that. Not a lot. It's not usually a quick process where you just get hired unless your company is like really suffering and they really need management. That's pretty much the only way you're going to get propelled. Or if you know a friend. But anyways, taking charge of your development is definitely the most effective way to go about it. Number 3, exercising, practicing. There's a lot of tools that are given to you in your company to be able to get you to that next level. Really knowing what your resources are is going to be the best way to help you get where you need to go. Number 4 is being very open to criticism. It is extremely important for you as a person in life to be very open to people's constructive criticism. Please, it is very important for you to know the difference. Constructive criticism is when someone tells you, listen, I don't really think that what you're doing is maybe there's a better way to do what you're doing. It's not bashing. It's just saying, okay, what you're doing just needs a little help. And don't worry, I'm gonna give you a suggestion. So if someone offers you suggestion and not just literally says, you're doing it wrong, that's the difference. You need to be able to know the difference. If someone is giving you constructive criticism on how to get better, take it. Like for instance, if someone says, hey, I saw you engaging with customers and I noticed that you usually don't smile too much. Have you ever thought, has that ever crossed your mind? I think it would really help, engaging customers and really help if you were to smile more. That's a constructive criticism versus someone comes up to you and says, you're not smiling enough. You need to smile more. Your face looks horrible and you're not engaging with customers. That's it. Like, that's all I say. Be open to the constructive criticism, the criticism that's going to actually help you grow, where they give you a suggestion, they give you things to help you get there. Not just people who are putting you down for no reason. You're going to have a lot of people who are going to push you down. Why? Because they're either going for the same position, they're mad because you're trying to live your best life. Like, there's so many different reasons for why a person will be mean to you for absolutely no reason and put you down. And so it's very important for you to keep that strong mindset and know the difference between criticism, haters, and then constructive criticism, people who are on your side. Number 5 is to talk about the fact that you want to move up. A lot of people, or I've had a lot of people that are like, I'm trying to move up and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, I've never heard you speak about it though. Like, you have to be vocal about what you want. You have to talk to your supervisors about it. You have to talk to your store managers about it. If you get lucky enough to schedule a meeting with your district manager, you need to talk about that to them as well. Tell them what your goals and your ambitions are so they constantly know and they're able to keep track of you as well and see you in that light. And don't be afraid to talk about it. Talk about it with your peers as well, because maybe if they're having a conversation, they'd be like, oh yeah, and by the way, Gabrielle mentioned that she's really interested in moving up. I really think that we should, take her under our wing, and you never know. So it's very important for you to talk about it. Obviously, don't be obnoxious and mention it every 5 minutes. But when it comes to like talking about your goals and things like that in the workplace, it's very important to mention those things to people because they'll mention it to other people, and it just creates this beautiful ripple effect that will eventually get to the right people. But like I said before, don't be afraid to partner with your superiors because essentially they're the ones that are going to help you climb that ladder. Number 6, you have to be available. There are a lot of people that want to move up, and I've worked with a lot of them, and they're not available. They don't want to come in on their days off. They don't want to open up their availability. They don't want to work weekends. They don't want to work holidays. They don't want to work overtime if it's allotted. Like, you just can't. Companies are looking for people who are reliable, and they're not going to invest in people who are not willing to open up their schedule. I'm not saying be a slave. You're gonna kind of have to make that decision of, do I really want to open myself up to working harder and being that yes person? Because that's essentially what corporate is looking for, or what, companies, managers, they're looking for someone who's reliable. So when you open up your schedule, you're taking extra shifts, you're coming in for people when they're sick or they call out, that all shows that you're very invested into the company and you're putting in your time to hopefully get to that next level. Number 7 is helping your district. So if you are in either, it doesn't matter, corporate or franchise, you're going to have what's called a district, or most companies it's called a district, team, a group. And basically a district is just how many stores are currently under one district manager, which is your store manager's boss. For instance, in Starbucks, I had as much as 15 stores in my district or 12 stores in my district, things like that. First of all, knowing who's in your district is important. Also, knowing the store managers of those districts are very important. Don't be afraid to call them and get to know them. Just be like, hi, my name is Rebecca, and I'm actually looking to move up in the company. I was hoping you had a few minutes to just speak to me. Tell me about you. If there's anything that I can help you do, in your store, I would love to work at your store for a few hours just to kind of see how it works for you. It really helps to give you that extra experience too, because let's say, for instance, your store is not a very high volume store and you know that someone in Ocala or Brandon has a busier store than you. Try and see if you can get some extra hours, go in their store and see what it's like. You may actually like it more, and then what if you end up liking that manager more, and that manager seems like they just cling, you and that manager just click. And, you could ask for a transfer, and then that transfer ends up leading you closer to your goal. So it's really important to know who's around you, what their name is, what their story is, if they can offer you something, because that'll further propel you into what you want. Number 8 is having a project. So a lot of times when I sit down with superiors, they always tell me, so what's your project? What do you want to make your baby? What do you want to own? It's very important for you to own something so that you have something to reference when you're having your interview and they're like, so what changes have you done? what have you done for us lately? When they start asking you those questions, this is your time to shine. And so you can say, well, for instance, when I was trying to move from Starbucks, I went ahead and did it's called a green apron board. And so essentially what it is it's a thank you for doing an amazing job board. So you go ahead and you make this, I made this huge board that had a little apron attached to it, had everyone's name, and then you would put little green apron cards in it, just giving like really inspirational quotes or just saying, thank you so much, killing it on bar today. And so that was my project. I went ahead and did that. Why did I do that? Because that helped to build morale in my store. So kind of having a reason for why you're doing what you're doing and then executing that project, and always give a timeline. Some companies are very, very heavy into timelines. Starbucks was one of those. So if I'd say, well, I'm going to go ahead and work on the green board because I noticed that my store doesn't have one. They're going to go, okay, when do you think you'll have it by? And when they say when, set a realistic goal for yourself. 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 2 months. It just depends on the project. For me, it was a heavy project because it was arts and crafts. I had to get supplies. I had to do all these things. So it took me about a month to get it all set up. But I did it. I did it within a month's time. And I said I was going to do it. And then you keep track of your projects and you make sure that you have that portfolio ready. So when they say, so what have you done? You know, what have you done in your career, or what have you done to bring you to this point? You'll be like, boom. And you have a huge collage of all these projects that you've done. It also shows that you are a team player, that you've done so many things for this company, for this store, and you're ready to have your own and just do the same thing all over again, but now for your own store. Number 9 is numbers. See what I did there? It's very important for you to know the numbers of your store. What do you average every week? What do you average every day, month, things like that? Knowing how busy your store is, your numbers, your goals, all those things look very, 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 very good because essentially you're in a business and you're trying to grow that business, and every business is trying to grow. Every business is about numbers. Every business is about meeting that quota. So picking something also too to work on. Well, this is if you're a supervisor. If you're someone who's trying to go up to supervisor, still knowing your numbers is very helpful because it shows that you're very invested into the business. So like for instance, how cool would it be if a barista who's trying to learn Starbucks knows that averagely their Starbucks makes about $32,000 a day or $32,000 a day. Most baristas don't know that. You'll ask a barista, how much money does your store average in a day? And they'd be like, a lot, you know? Or how much do you average in a week? They'd be like, oh man, because well, number one, Starbucks doesn't really have to worry. I would say if you're in a company that's doing very well, typically you're not going to hear things like, oh, we have to reach goals. We have to reach our numbers. Oh my God, we're not doing well today. Those are things that you're just not going to hear because Starbucks is always booming and popping. But for me, I've been in companies where that's a constant thing in my head, or a constant thing of the day where it's just like, we're not making our numbers. Oh my God, it's 12 o'clock. What are we going to do? Those are constant things that are coming up. But knowing your numbers shows that 1, you know where you're at, 2, you know where you're trying to go, and 3, you have a plan to get there. So being able to say, well, you know, our average is 32,000 a week. I'm trying to get it to where we're 36,000 a week. You need to show them how you're going to get there, what you're going to do, and then don't be afraid to put that plan into action, because then when you put that plan into action and it works, you have that right in front of you and you're like, so my store was averaging 32,000 a week, and then I went ahead and started to see how I could get to 36,000. So what I did was everybody that offered a beverage, I asked them if they wanted a breakfast sandwich. Whether it's offering a breakfast sandwich, having a visual and saying, hey, we have ham and Swiss right now for $5.60 blah. Would you like to add that to your order? Having a little stand in front of them with the sandwich, because sometimes Starbucks has little sandwiches, and it works for every company. Whatever you're trying to sell, those suggestive items, all that reaches your bottom line. So just saying, this is what I did a display. I told all my staff to offer that with a beverage. Showing what you did to get there, to reach that goal, is ultimately going to show that you are a good leader. And then number 10, should probably be number 1, but anyways, number 10 is customers. So a lot of times, and it's very hard because in my service, in my line of work, I've noticed that customers only ever complain. There's not a lot of customers that will say something nice. If they do, they always say it to your face, which is nice. It's wonderful, but they don't realize that their comment would do a lot more good if it was reaching either your supervisor or your supervisor's supervisor, which is even like way better. With that being said though, it's still important to engage with customers to show that you have a very good relationship with customers. You're able to build relationships with customers, turning a customer that's angry into a happy customer, bringing them back into your store. Having that relationship and being able to build those relationships is a very, very crucial part of being manager, because essentially who do they call when you have an issue? Managers. And so as a manager, you have to build that relationship. And sometimes it's hard because, you know, you have no idea what's going on sometimes, and they bring you in and all of a sudden you just have this customer that's like, fix it, you know? So you have about 4 to 5 minutes to listen to their problem and fix their problem. And if you can do that already as a entry level or as a supervisor, then yeah, you're going to excel very well as a manager or store manager or an assistant store manager, because you've already been putting this into practice and you've put yourself in front of those people. Don't be afraid to put yourself in front of people who are angry. It is very hard. I'm not going to say it's an easy thing to do. It was probably one of the hardest things I've ever had to do in my career because, one, like I said, anxiety, angry people scare me. When I'm angry, I'm not very good with my emotions. I kind of go off. It was very, very hard. But having those tools, knowing how to handle angry people and understanding essentially that they just want to be heard. Some do. I'm not saying everybody, but having the tools that you need and being able to execute at a very early stage in your career will really help you, because by the time you reach store manager, you've already been helping people and making people happy since you were entry level. So for a store manager level, it's just going to be like, bring it. And essentially the next time you meet this person that's like, you're going to be like, okay, yeah, no problem. So we're going to go ahead and give you a refund. We'll give you a gift card. And is there anything else I can do for you? Like, it's going to come so natural to you. And it's very important for you to throw yourself in front of customers, you know, try and deal with them as best as possible. Finding those ways, you know, to turn customers, angry ones, into good ones. You know, people who aren't too loyal into loyal customers. Having that niche will definitely help to propel you into that next step in your career. Number 11 is developing your peers. So trying to see who are the people that are like you, who want to move up in the company. Sticking with those people and working together to have a very positive group will make the process so much more fun. It's so much more fun when you have somebody who is like-minded like you. You're very positive. You just want everybody to succeed and they want you to succeed. And there's so much everybody, and everybody's so excited and everybody just wants to succeed together. Which is very rare. I'm going to be very honest. There's a lot of people, like I said, there's a lot more haters than supporters, unfortunately. But, you know, at that point, you just have to be able to say, okay, Gregory is a waste of my time, but Tiffany, I can mess with. Just kind of being able to scout those people and stick with those people will really, really help in the long run, because one, you're going to have a super supportive team that's like on your side. They're going to back for you if something ever happens. Like, you know, if they hear through the grapevines, oh my God, look, there's a store opening up, you should really go for that. Or, you know, there's a workshop that's going to be happening on the 12th, I think you should go to that. You know, like you're going to have so much more support and help, and it's going to seem so much easier for you to move up. For me, it was very hard to move up because, one, I didn't really have anybody that was wanting to do the same things I was doing. I was in a very negative environment. It was just extremely hard for me too. And essentially every time I've moved up, I've had to do it myself, which is very lonely. But I did it. But yeah, I mean, if you can find someone who's like-minded like you, then go for it. Grab onto this person and just see how you guys can work at it together. Assessment. Once you're at that level, just is there moves that need to be done? What's going to happen? I've had so many people that I've talked to that have told me they want to move up. They're trying to move up. They've done X, Y, Z. They've done everything, and they're still not getting the attention they need. They're getting so much, you know, people are, you know, supervisors are just talking in their head. Yeah, there's lots of opportunities. We're going to get you there. We're going to do what needs to do. However, though, we're going to wait. And so we think another 6 months, you'll definitely be ready. And if you started to hear that and it's become a pattern, that's when it's time for you to most likely move on, because they're just fluffing you. They're fluffing you like a pillow. And, they're keeping you interested. One, because they probably just don't believe that you're ready and they don't want to invest in you and they don't trust you to be put in that position, you know, and that's just that's not an environment you want to be in anyway. So once you get there at that point, you then have to worry about, damn, this took me a really long time to be here. Maybe they really don't think I should be here, and then they're probably not going to offer you any support. So once you get into that position, if you don't do well, it could be on them, but then you think it's on you because then you think you pushed yourself too hard, you weren't ready, but you actually were. You just didn't have the support you needed. Really assess and just kind of see, where you're at, if it's worth it, and if not, don't be afraid to whip out that resume and start sending it, which is another tip I have real quick. I'll make that 13, even though it's a little baby tip. But keep your resume very current, as you've gone through because I've been in jobs so long that I totally forgot I had a resume. And then when I'm trying to find my resume to send it out, I'm just like, oh my God, I have to update it. And it ends up being like a freaking 2-day project. So try and keep your resume nice and updated, your references nice and updated, and just have that ready because like I said, you just never know when you may need to let it go. I really, 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 really hope that these tips and tricks have helped you with moving up. If you have any comments, questions, suggestions, you don't agree, you do agree, whatever, let me know in the comments down below. I would love to hear any of your thoughts on this subject. I'm very passionate about, helping people live their best lives, and I'm all okay with people adding their own suggestions to what worked for them. Like I said, companies are so different, and these are just based on the companies I've worked at. So like I said, if you have something that you think will help somebody, please leave the comment down below. You never know what a difference your comment can make to anybody. And so yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I will catch you guys on the next one. See ya.